The rain came down in restless sheets as Ethan, a single dad barely holding life together, sprinted through the crowded bus terminal with his infant daughter, Lily, pressed against his chest. His heart pounded, not from running, but from the terror that had been chasing him for days. He had just lost his job, his landlord gave him a final warning, and now Lily was burning with a fever he couldn't afford to treat. The doctors had said she needed immediate care. As he looked around desperately, Ethan felt the walls closing in. Every second mattered. And then he saw her, a calm-looking woman standing alone, watching the chaos with soft, steady eyes, as if the storm outside didn't exist. Her name was Ava, though Ethan didn't know it yet. She appeared to be waiting for someone, clutching a small book against her chest. When her eyes fell on Ethan's trembling hands and the baby's flushed face, concern flickered across her features. Ethan hesitated as he approached her, knowing how insane it must look, a stranger in a terminal asking for help. But Lily whimpered weakly, and desperation drowned out his shame. He took a shaky breath and stepped closer, praying she wasn't the kind of person who would turn away. "I'm sorry," Ethan whispered, his voice cracking. "Please. I can't get to the clinic in time. She's getting worse. I don't know what to do." Ava blinked, startled at first, but something in Lily's fragile breathing softened her expression. Ethan looked down at his daughter, then at the woman's worried face, and in a moment of pure helplessness, he did the unthinkable, he gently held the baby out toward her. The world around them seemed to freeze. People rushed by, oblivious, but for Ethan, time hung suspended as he made the most vulnerable request of his life. Ava inhaled sharply. No man had ever handed her a baby before, not like this, not with eyes that carried the weight of an entire collapsing world. She hesitated only for a heartbeat before cradling Lily in her arms. The infant's feverish skin shocked her. Ava looked back at Ethan, seeing the fear behind the courage he was forcing himself to show. "She needs help now," Ava murmured. Her voice was steady, but her heart raced. She didn't know this man, didn't know his story, but she knew suffering when she saw it, and she knew she couldn't walk away. Just as Ava turned to guide Ethan outside toward her car, she noticed two security officers rushing into the terminal. Ethan stiffened. His past, the one he'd been trying so hard to outrun, had finally caught up. He quickly stepped behind a column, eyes wide with panic. "Please," he whispered urgently, "don't let them take her from me. I'm not a bad father. I'm just, out of options." Ava looked back at the officers, then at the terrified man shaking before her. Something deep inside her clicked, a fierce instinct she didn't recognize, urging her to trust him. Ava stepped closer, shielding Lily in her arms. "Walk with me," she said softly. "Don't run. Just follow." Ethan swallowed hard and obeyed. They slipped out through a service corridor Ava happened to know from years of commuting through the terminal. When they reached her car, rain soaking their clothes, Ava handed Lily back, wrapping the baby gently in her jacket. "Get in," she said. "We're taking her to the hospital. And no matter what's happening with those officers, I won't let anything happen to your daughter." The drive through the storm felt endless. Ethan sat in the back seat, rocking Lily gently, whispering reassurances even though his voice trembled. Ava kept glancing in the mirror, studying him. There was no anger in his eyes, no malice, only exhaustion, love, and the kind of fear born from carrying every responsibility alone. Slowly, Ethan began to talk. He told her about losing his wife during childbirth, about fighting to keep his job while caring for a newborn, about bills piling up until eviction notices replaced sunlight in his home. When they reached the hospital, Ava stayed with them instead of leaving. She helped Ethan fill out forms, even offered to pay the emergency fee when he froze at the sight of the cost. Ethan refused at first, pride and shame colliding, but Ava looked at him with gentle firmness. "You're not taking charity," she said. "You're taking a lifeline. We all need one sometimes." Her words broke something inside Ethan, the part of him that had been carrying too much for too long. He lowered his head and whispered, "Thank you." Doctors rushed Lily into a treatment room, leaving Ethan and Ava in the waiting area, damp, tired, and filled with worry. Minutes stretched into hours until the doctor finally returned with a soft smile. "Your daughter will be okay," he announced. "It was a severe infection, but you brought her just in time." Ethan exhaled in relief, leaning back against the wall as tears streamed down his face. Ava placed a hand on his shoulder, grounding him in the moment. For the first time in months, Ethan felt he wasn't sinking alone. As Lily slept peacefully in the recovery room, Ava finally revealed something she had kept quiet. She was a pediatric nurse who had quit temporarily after losing her own nephew in an accident months earlier. She had been blaming herself ever since, drifting through life without purpose. "When you handed me Lily," she said softly, "I felt something wake up inside me, something I thought I'd lost forever." Ethan looked at her with surprise and gratitude. Their stories, both heavy with loss, suddenly felt connected by fate. Ava stayed through the night, helping care for Lily while Ethan tried to rest on the stiff hospital chair. She sang softly, wiped the baby's forehead, and whispered little comforts only a caretaker's heart could instinctively give. Ethan watched her in quiet awe, realizing that this woman, a stranger hours ago, now felt like the only person in the world who understood his battles. He wondered if he'd ever be able to repay the kindness she had shown him. By morning, Lily's fever had broken. She opened her tiny eyes and reached out toward Ava instead of crying. Ava laughed softly and let the baby wrap her little fingers around hers. Ethan felt his heart melt at the sight. For a moment, he imagined what life might have been like if he wasn't fighting alone, if someone like Ava had been there from the start. But he pushed the thought away, reminding himself she had her own life, her own pain, her own world separate from his. But Ava didn't pull away. When it was time for discharge, she insisted on driving them home, saying she'd rather make sure Lily was safe than leave things unfinished. Ethan hesitated but agreed. As they drove through the now sunny streets, something unspoken hung between them, an invisible understanding that life had brought them together on purpose, not chance. Ava parked outside Ethan's modest apartment building, exhaling slowly before turning to him. Before handing Lily back, Ava leaned close and whispered something that made Ethan freeze. "You're not alone anymore," she said softly, her voice trembling with sincerity. "If you'll let me. I want to help. Not out of pity, out of purpose. You saved me last night as much as I helped save your daughter." Ethan stared at her, stunned, unable to speak. Those words, simple, gentle, and unexpected, cracked open a part of his heart he thought had died long ago. As Ava walked them to the door, the sunlight bathed their small trio in a warm glow. Lily giggled, reaching for her again, and Ava laughed, a sound filled with hope. Ethan turned to her, emotion thick in his throat. "Yesterday, I thought my world was ending," he said quietly. "But you changed everything." Ava smiled, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Sometimes," she whispered, "miracles don't come from angels. They come from strangers who care." And in that moment, Ethan understood that life had just given him a second chance, not just at survival, but at family, healing, and hope.